I'm rereading the poem, The Gods of the Copybook Headings, because I think this has every answer in it we seek. This is a guy who watched, as he says, the gods of the market tumble, the gods that were wind-born, which means they just go with the wind. They're changeable. And he saw society, as he writes, the march of mankind, or social justice or social progress, the Fabian socialists or the progressives, take and spread these lies that you can have it all, that, as he writes, pigs had wings and wishes were horses. What he means is they were making promises. For instance, you can sit down and negotiate with dictators that are completely untrustworthy and everything will be working out fine. That you can print money and that will somehow or another not be a bad thing. It will work this time. That spending more will lead to less debt. That you can have a happy and non-lethal war. Things that don't make any sense unless you explain it and you disconnect from reality because you want to believe those things. But the gods of the copybook headings tell us they're not true. Again, copybook headings are the things that were at the top of the page that kids used to write in school and to practice their penmanship. Water will wet us. That's true. There's nothing else you can say about water will wet us. Well, but that's not happy. You don't want to get wet necessarily. Fire will burn. Well, no, now, hang on just a second. And so they got rid of the gods of the copybook headings, which are the three little pigs. As we were just telling you about a half hour ago, little pig, let me come in. In the Disneyfied version, the little pig runs to the stick house, and then the two little pigs run to the brick house. In the real version, the first little pig that was unprepared was eaten. The second pig was eaten. Why? Because they were unprepared. So don't be a little pig that's unprepared, because you'll be eaten. That's the message. That is the God of the copybook heading. You have nothing to fear except being unprepared, because there is a wolf, and he will come. You don't know when, but when you run into your straw house because you've been playing or you have been paying attention or you've been denying that there is a wolf, you'll be eaten. That's the God of the copybook heading. There is a wolf. Prepare, otherwise you'll be eaten. But we've changed that. We've changed the God of the copybook heading and said, no, you can just run to your brother's house. That will eventually catch up, and pigs will be eaten. Or they'll run to their brother's house and they'll become little piggish slaves. Got it? Let me read the lesson that Rudyard Kipling learned at the First World War after seeing Fabian Socialist and seeing the world burn to the ground with World War I. As I pass through my incarnations in every age and race, I make my proper prostrations to the gods of the marketplace. Peering through reverent fingers, I watch them flourish and fall. And the gods of the copybook headings, I noticed, outlast them all. We were living in the trees when they met us. They showed us, each in turn, that water would certainly wet us, as fire would certainly burn. But we found them lacking in uplift, vision, and breadth of mind. So we left them to teach the gorillas, while we followed the march of mankind. We moved as the spirit listed, but they never altered their pace, being neither cloud nor wind-born, like the gods of the marketplace. But they always caught up with our progress, and presently word would come that a tribe had been wiped off its ice field or the lights had gone out in Rome. With the hopes that our world is built on, they were utterly out of touch. They denied that the moon was Stilton. They denied she was even Dutch. They denied that wishes were horses. They denied that pigs had wings. So we worship the gods of the market who promised these beautiful things. When the Cambrian measures were forming, they promised perpetual peace. They swore if we gave them our weapons, that the wars of the tribes would cease. But when we disarmed, they sold us and delivered us bound to our foe. And the gods of the Copybook Headings said, "Stick to the devil you know." On the first feminine sandstones, we were promised the fuller life, which started by loving our neighbor and ended by loving his wife, till our women had no more children, and the men lost reason and faith. And the gods of the Copybook Heading said, "The wages of sin is death." In the Carboniferous epoch, we were promised abundance for all by robbing selected Peter to pay for collective Paul. But though we had plenty of money, there was nothing our money could buy. And the gods of the Copybook Heading said, "If you do not work, you die." Then the gods of the market tumbled, and their smooth-tongued wizards withdrew, and the hearts of the meanest were humbled, and began to believe it was true, that all is not gold that glitters, and two do make four. And the gods of the Copybook Headings limped up to explain it once more. As it will be in the future, it was in the birth of man. There are only four things certain since social progress began: that the dog returns to his vomit, and the sow returns to her mire, and the burnt fool's bandaged finger goes wobbling back to the fire. And after this is accomplished, and the brave new world begins, when all men are paid for existing, and no man must pay for his sins, as surely as water will wet us, as surely as fire will burn, the gods of the Copybook Headings with terror and slaughter return. So what does it mean? It means we unplugged from common sense. We were bored with water will wet us and fire will burn. We wanted more vision. We wanted something better than that. We wanted to believe that pigs had wings and wishes were horses, and the marketplace promised us these things. And little by little, we started giving up reason and insanity. We started giving up our weapons because we were promised that we'd be fine. And instead, that promise delivered us bound to our enemies. And we were surprised. And the gods of the Copybook, common sense, said hello. And then we were promised the fuller life. And what happened? Our women stopped having children, and our men were completely confused. They lost reason, they lost faith in God, they lost everything. And the gods of the Copybook Headings, common sense, came up and said again, hello, sin will kill you. Sin will destroy you. And then we were promised everybody can have everything. And we robbed from selected Peter, let's take from the rich, to give to selected Paul, let's give it to him. And although they had plenty of money, and how many dollars do we have now? The most in the history of the United States. What's out in circulation? Do we even know? $4 trillion. When I started telling you this problem 4 years ago, it was $800 million. In circulation, I'll bet you there's about $4 trillion now. We have plenty of money. Let me quote Rudyard Kipling, by robbing selected Peter to pay for selected Paul. Though we had plenty of money, there was nothing our money could buy. He's talking here about you've made this socialist state. Oh, sure, you got plenty of money because you're printing it. But nobody wants your money. And the gods of the copybook headings came up again and said, if you don't work, you're going to die. You got to work. In the end, they come back. In the end, one more time, the people, the wizards withdrew, and the people who believed that, 2 and 2 was 6, damn it. Once everything's destroyed, they're like, okay, now wait a minute. What is this? 2 and 2 equals 4? What is this crazy concept? And so the gods of the copybook, common sense, came in again and said, let me explain it one more time. And then they say this. Here's common sense, and you've all learned it because you've burned everything to the ground because you stopped listening to the things that were true. These things are true, whether you like it or not. 2 and 2 equals 4, period. But let me leave you with this, says Rudyard Kipling. The gods of the copybook headings also teach you this. As soon as we bandage this finger, as soon as you're on the mend, how long did it take us after 9/11? As soon as we get past this little crisis, that bandaged fool's finger is going right back in the fire. Because they'll say, fire doesn't burn. You can print money. You can do this. You can do that. You can give away your armaments because that'll lead to peace. They'll say the same damn thing. And the gods of the copybook headings, common sense, with terror and slaughter return. In other words, when you forget again, I promise you, slaughter and terror is around the corner. Because once you unplug from common sense and the truth, little pig, and start believing that you can run to your brother's house, it's the way it always ends. The pigs are eaten. The question is, he learned this and wrote this only after World War I. He spent the rest of his life maintaining veterans' cemeteries because he learned his lesson. Is it just a poem that the left can make fun of because they've never heard it before or understand it? Or is it something that we will learn from?
Join us again tomorrow for Glenn Beck's
Cylindra.
Not Cylindra, but reading of Immanuel Kant's Critique of Pure Reason in its entirety.
That makes my head explode. That hurts. That one hurts.